The Texas heat pressed down on San Antonio like a heavy blanket that August evening in 1987. 16-year-old twin sisters Lauren and Ashley Martinez walked out of Henderson's Diner just after 8 p.m., their matching denim jackets tied around their waists, sneakers scuffing the pavement as they laughed about something only twins understand. The grainy security footage from Henderson's, preserved for decades in the Bezar County Evidence Vault, captured their final moments inside. Lauren pushed through the glass door first, her ponytail swinging. Ashley followed 3 steps behind, adjusting her backpack strap. Before we start this story, drop a comment and share which city in the world you're watching from today. Take 1 second to support the channel by hitting the subscribe button for free. They'd spent the evening shift waiting tables and refilling iced tea for the dinner rush, their pockets heavy with tips meant for new school clothes. The walk home should have taken exactly 20 minutes along a route they'd traveled hundreds of times. Down Commerce Street, past the pharmacy, left onto Oakwood Drive through a neighborhood where porch lights glowed and children's bikes lay scattered on lawns. Then 8 blocks to the brick house where their mother would be waiting with leftover apple pie. But somewhere between Henderson's glass door and their front porch, Lauren and Ashley Martinez stepped into an absence so complete it was as if the humid Texas night had swallowed them whole. No screams, no struggle, no witnesses except for vague reports of a dark sedan, make and model unknown, idling near Commerce and Oakwood around 8:15 p.m. By 9:30, when neither daughter had arrived home, Patricia Martinez felt dread's cold finger trace her spine. By midnight, her voice was hoarse from calling their names. By morning, the Bezar County Sheriff's Department had opened what would become San Antonio's longest nightmare. Detective Frank Rodriguez, a 25-year veteran, coordinated the initial search from a cramped office where maps of San Antonio covered every wall. Red pins marked Henderson's Diner. Blue pins traced the intended route home. Yellow pins indicated searched areas. The map revealed more questions than answers. A geography of absence where 2 teenagers had simply ceased to exist. 3 persons of interest emerged during those frantic early weeks. Marcus Davidson, a 43-year-old delivery driver, owned a dark sedan matching witness descriptions. He had no alibi for August 14th, claiming he'd driven straight home after his shift. Carlos Mendez, a 30-year-old construction foreman with a domestic violence record, drove a black vehicle and had been seen near Henderson's multiple times. His alibi was watching TV alone, unprovable. The third, Robert Chen, a 37-year-old photographer who'd taken the twins' school portraits, kept copies of their photos in his studio. Standard practice, he insisted, but deeply unsettling. All 3 submitted to questioning and polygraphs. All 3 remained free because suspicion isn't evidence. The frustration ate at Rodriguez like acid. "I knew one of them probably held the answer," he later told reporters, "but knowing and proving are different universes." As autumn arrived and school resumed without Lauren and Ashley, the case drifted toward the cold files. FBI involvement scaled back. Media coverage diminished from daily updates to occasional anniversary pieces. Volunteer search parties dwindled to a dedicated core of family and church members. For Patricia Martinez, the investigation's gradual shutdown felt like a second loss. A 40-year-old nurse at Methodist Hospital, she'd raised her 3 children alone after her husband's death. She transformed her dining room into a command center that would remain operational for 36 years. Maps, flyers, and binders containing every case detail covered the table. The twins' bedroom became a shrine, preserved exactly as they'd left it. Unmade beds, textbooks open to pages they'd never finish. Her younger son, Michael, 13 when his sisters vanished, watched his mother's transformation with admiration and concern. Grief forged her into something harder, more determined. She attended every community safety meeting, testified before the Texas legislature about response protocols, founded a support group for families of the missing. But Michael also saw the cost: 4 hours of sleep nightly, premature aging, hair turning gray within a year. The 1990s brought technological advances that couldn't help. DNA analysis existed but required physical evidence, something the Martinez case lacked entirely. No crime scene, no bodies, no biological material to test. Security cameras were sparse in 1987. Beyond Henderson's single camera, there was no visual record of the twins' movements. The case officially went cold in 1991, moving to basement storage where dust gathered on boxes labeled Martinez, Lauren, and Ashley, 1987. Detective Rodriguez kept working it on personal time, making calls, following tips that trickled in from across the country. Time moved differently for families of the missing. While San Antonio evolved into a sprawling metropolis, the Martinez household remained frozen in August 1987. Patricia kept the kitchen calendar turned to that month for 5 years before finally allowing Michael to change it. Even then, she circled the 14th in red marker every month, a permanent reminder. Henderson's Diner closed in 1994, replaced by a chain pharmacy whose employees knew nothing of the history. The neighborhood saw gradual turnover. Original residents retired or passed away, replaced by families who'd never heard the Martinez name. Michael Martinez joined the Bexar County Sheriff's Department in 1998 after earning his criminal justice degree. His motivation was transparent to everyone. He became a detective specializing in cold cases, driven by the ghost that had defined his childhood. Patricia continued her vigil with unwavering dedication. Every August 14th, she organized candlelight ceremonies that drew hundreds initially, dwindling to dozens by the 2000s. "Someone knows what happened," she'd say at each gathering. "Until they speak, I keep asking." Deputy Sarah Chen was 28 and new enough to Bexar County Sheriff's Department to get assigned unwanted calls. The dispatch on November 9th, 2023 seemed routine. Construction crew reported possible human remains at an old warehouse on Industrial Boulevard, scheduled for demolition. Chen arrived expecting animal bones. What she found would shatter 36 years of silence. The warehouse had stood since the 1950s, housing various operations before falling into disuse. The construction foreman, Tommy Wade, stood beside his frozen backhoe, face gray from seeing something terrible. He pointed to exposed earth where concrete flooring had been broken up, revealing what lay hidden beneath for decades. 2 skeletal remains positioned close together, small enough to suggest teenagers. Scattered among the bones were fabric fragments, denim and cotton, and partially buried in red Texas clay. 2 tarnished pieces of jewelry that would transform this discovery into the answer San Antonio had sought for 36 years. Chen secured the scene immediately. Within hours, it became a full investigation. Detective Michael Martinez, now 49 and heading the cold case unit he'd essentially created through persistent advocacy, received the call while reviewing files. "Detective Martinez, we have a situation. Human remains, possibly 2 females, possibly juvenile. And sir, there are 2 necklaces, silver hearts with inscriptions." The floor tilted beneath Michael. The silver heart necklaces had been birthday gifts from their mother in 1986, each engraved with a twin's name. Lauren's had been on a slightly longer chain to tell them apart. He called his mother before driving to the scene, A conversation lasting seconds because neither could trust their voices. Then he was driving across San Antonio toward a warehouse he'd passed thousands of times, never knowing it held the answer his family had been seeking since he was 13. Forensic anthropologists supervised careful recovery of every bone, fabric fragment, potential evidence piece. The warehouse's construction history became crucial. Building permits showed that in August 1987, an emergency concrete pour had been authorized for foundation repairs. The contractor was a small local company defunct since 1995, but archived records revealed the crew foreman's name, Carlos Mendez. The name detonated in Michael's mind. Carlos Mendez, one of the original 3 persons of interest from 1987, the construction foreman with violence history and no alibi. The man questioned, polygraphed, and released because suspicion without evidence isn't enough. DNA would provide absolute confirmation, but preliminary assessment already pointed toward inevitability. 2 female skeletons, approximately 16 years old based on bone development. Fabric fragments matched clothing descriptions from August 14, 1987. The positioning suggested they'd been placed together carefully, lying parallel. The breakthrough came from soil analysis. Samples contained microscopic traces telling a story bones alone couldn't. Concrete dust matching the August 1987 emergency pour. Pollen from mid-August Texas plants. Most significantly, traces of specific industrial adhesive used in construction during that era, discontinued in 1993 after health concerns. Cross-referencing purchase records revealed Carlos Mendez's construction company as a primary buyer of that adhesive in the San Antonio area during 1987. The adhesive bonded rebar to concrete in foundation work, exactly what Mendez's crew performed at the warehouse in August 1987. Mendez, now 63, was located living in a modest apartment on San Antonio's south side, working part-time as a maintenance supervisor. Surveillance established his routines while investigators built their case. The most damning evidence came unexpectedly. Mendez's ex-wife, divorced since 1996, contacted the tip line after seeing news coverage. She had information she'd been too frightened to reveal 36 years earlier. Linda Mendez, now Linda Garcia after remarrying, met Detective Martinez on November 15th. Hands trembling around her coffee cup, she began, "He came home that night covered in red clay. August 14th, 1987. His clothes were filthy, stained with clay and concrete dust. He said there'd been an emergency at a job site." She paused, gathering courage. "Next morning, I noticed scratches on his arms. Deep ones, like fingernail scratches. When I asked, he got angry in a way that scared me." Linda detailed Mendez's behavior in subsequent weeks. He became paranoid about news coverage, angry when missing person posters appeared, forbidding her from speaking to police. Most chillingly, he insisted they attend an early vigil for the missing twins, standing in the crowd while Patricia Martinez pleaded for information. "After our divorce, I kept thinking about that night, the clay, the scratches, the paranoia, and wondering if I'd been married to a monster." The arrest warrant was signed November 18th, 2023. Tactical officers surrounded Mendez's apartment pre-dawn. Michael stood in the command vehicle, watching monitors as his sister's suspected killer was taken into custody. Mendez emerged confused until officers read his rights: 2 counts of first-degree murder. Search of Mendez's apartment revealed newspaper clippings about the twins' disappearance, preserved in plastic sleeves, organized chronologically. A work journal from 1987 had August 14th notably absent, the page torn out. But forensic examiners reading impressions on the page beneath found fragmentary words. warehouse, foundation, emergency pour, and chillingly, no one will know. The trial began March 2024. Patricia Martinez, now 76 and visibly frail, was wheeled into court by Michael each morning. She wore the same navy dress daily, the one from the twins' 16th birthday party. District Attorney Jennifer Morrison presented evidence with methodical precision. The jury saw excavation photographs, skeletal remains, tarnished heart necklaces. Forensic anthropologists explained how bone analysis revealed the twins' age and cause of death, blunt force trauma to skulls from behind. Linda Garcia took the stand, recounting that August night, the clay-stained clothes, the scratches, the paranoid behavior. "I've carried this 36 years," she said. "I was too scared to speak when it mattered. I can't undo that, but I can tell the truth now." The most powerful moment came when Michael Martinez testified as victim impact witness. "For 36 years, I've lived with two competing needs," Michael said. "The need to hope my sisters might somehow be alive, and the need to know truth, even if it destroyed that hope." The jury deliberated 7 hours before reaching their verdict. "We find the defendant, Carlos Mendez, guilty of murder in the first degree in the death of Lauren Martinez." Then, "We find the defendant guilty of murder in the first degree in the death of Ashley Martinez." Patricia Martinez collapsed into tears, body shaking with sobs representing release of 36 years accumulated grief. Sentencing came 2 weeks later. Judge Catherine Reynolds imposed 2 consecutive life sentences without parole. "Mr. Mendez, you robbed 2 young women of their futures," Reynolds said. "You robbed their family of 36 years that could have been spent healing instead of searching." Patricia lived just long enough to see Mendez sentenced, passing peacefully 3 months later. Michael found her in the morning, still in the chair by the window where she'd maintained her decades-long vigil. On her lap was a photograph of the twins at age 10, arms around each other, identical smiles. San Antonio transformed the vacant warehouse lot into a memorial park with a granite monument bearing the twins' names. Gone but never forgotten. Found but never replaced. Carlos Mendez died in prison November 2025, less than 2 years after conviction. A heart attack took him in his sleep. The Martinez case became a teaching tool nationwide, illustrating how cases can be solved decades later when persistent investigation combines with evolving forensic technology. Lauren and Ashley Martinez remain forever 16 in photographs and memories, but their legacy extends beyond their brief lives. They proved that justice can come even after 36 years.